One of the main differences in the new CE7000 is the addition to what we call the perforation track. And this track sits about 1/4 of an inch from the Teflon strip, and it allows the knife to ride in this track for doing perforation cutting on certain medias. We have to tell the cutter which position we have the knife set in the knife holder. There's 2 positions. Position 1 is the back position, which cuts along the Teflon strip, and position 3 is the forward position that cuts in the track. And the way we set the cutter is through the condition test menu. So we're going to hit that button, and we're going to go down arrow twice until we get to what's called assign tool. That's number 2, so we're going to hit number 2 to assign tool. And then we can see a list of all the conditions, 1 through 8, and below that there's a row called config. And by default, those are probably all set to 1, which is the back position. But if we wanted to change one of those to the front position, we see on the bottom you have 1 and 3. So you choose the condition that you want to set it for, and then you would hit 3, which changes that to the forward position. Hit enter, and now the knife holding position is set to that forward position for the cutter. So when you send the cut job over to the cutter, it's going to know that that knife is in the forward position, and it will account for that offset. So let's take a closer look at the actual knife holder itself for these positions. So what I want to do is loosen up the thumb screw here and take a look down inside here so we can clearly see that there's basically 2 semicircles where the knife actually fits into. So you have the back slot, which is the cutting position 1, and then you have the forward slot, which is cutting position 3. Now they can be a little tricky. You might have to actually take out the thumb screw all the way to get it into that forward position. But once it's in the forward position, you'll screw it down over the little flange and it'll hold in place there. So let's talk a little bit about which position you should use for your cutting. I would say if you're just starting out, stick with position 1, which is the back knife position. That's going to cut along the Teflon strip. That'll work for everything from perf cutting to kiss cutting without having to change back and forth. Position 3 for perf cutting can be useful on certain medias, but it also can be a little more trickier. Sometimes the media can be driven a little bit into that track and your cuts can be off a little bit. So it really depends on which media you're cutting, and as you get more familiar with the process, then you can pick which cutting position works best for the media that you're doing.